For Representative Armstrong, who got a hold of me on Friday, to say that a very important party meeting came up for this evening that he didn't think he could miss. So you can be sure that I'll be asking him to come to our next meeting, but once he gets through with it tonight. So I know all of you didn't come just to hear him because you're so excited about everything else we say, but I'm sorry that he won't be here tonight, and hopefully you can check the website, but hopefully he'll be free for the following month.
What's he speaking of?
His topic for the county is economic growth and development, and I'll tell, in my special funding, I'll tell you how we got to that when I report about the meeting that we had that kind of led us to his engagement here.
Okay, public input. I think our county supervisor wanted to go first. Is that right, Louis? And if, with the crowd and the furnace noise, please use the speaker.
Sure.
Or microphone.
Everybody hear me? No? No?
Sally keeps him posted all the time.
Now it's off. There you go.
Now we're good?
What number is that, Louis?
1. Try that. Let's turn it up.
Okay, is it okay now? There we go. Yeah, and Dave Armstrong will be here. I don't know if you know who he is, but he's the Economic Development Officer for Barron County. He's also your state assemblyman. And when Dave has been our EDO, Economic Development Officer for Barron County for a long time and done an excellent job. When he told me he was going to run for state assembly, I said, no, don't do that. He said, no, I'm going to cut my salary in half and do both jobs. And he is. And he's down in Madison doing, I'm using my 2 minutes up. Okay, okay, oh, yeah. He's doing a lot of things with housing, childcare, things that matter a lot to the people in our area and schools. And so he's somebody that knows what he's doing. He can actually write the bills and understand them and push them. In fact, we had a Barron County Economic Development Award banquet for the, about 7 or 8 businesses in Barron County that were recognized on Friday at the technical school. And Robin Voss, who's the Speaker of the House, came up and talked at it. So Dave is well respected. So he does want to come here. Anything pertaining to economic development, he's your man. If there's money out there, he'll find it for you. So anyway, I'm Louis Oakey. I'm your District 16 supervisor. I also happen to be the Barron County Board Chair. The other 29 supervisors elect that person every 2 years. So they haven't got sick of me yet, and hopefully won't get sick of me either here in District 16. But the reason I'm here is to talk about that the rezoning and the stuff that's going on over in Lackawanna Beach Club. And I just hate to see well, as you can see, things that are gotten violent. I just like to see some civility and people just to bring the temperature down a little bit, and let's try to work this thing out together, because we've got really good people on both sides of the aisle in this township, and I know we can work it out. I just wanted to bring up some things though, because I know you'll be talking about the rezoning, and these are just things, I guess, that I know by talking to Dave Gifford, who's our Land Services Department head, and John Minch, who's our Barron County Corp Counsel. And I know they're reviewing stuff because Ken and the boards and Marion, they send a lot of stuff to them, and they're trying to take care of it and answer the questions. But some of the things I'm not going to say they're in cement, but I know when it comes to those lots, they're reviewing heavily whether if their campers are on there, whether that's a pre-existing condition, and whether we can say we change that before the ownership changes. That's a big item that has to be addressed and found out. And there is another caveat, I guess. If you would rezone from RR, which is residential recreational, to R1 people do have the ability to come in front of the zoning committee and ask for a special exemption for a camper. So I'm just pointing out some of the issues that take time and effort of both Barron County and town of Cedar Lake. And also, you know, if they do allow that and let the people come and want to rezone the property without the owner's consent, how's the owner gonna feel about that? And how's the zoning committee gonna vote if the owner is not in favor? I don't know that answer. You know, I'm just throwing things out. As they mentioned here, there is no $500 application fee. There will be fees for publications and things, and you know, they probably won't sue the town. If there's an issue, they'll sue the county. But you know, those are all costs, and since you're part of Barron County, that's a cost to the residents of Cedar Lake as well. And to have I know there's been talk about having all parcels, maybe a group of them, 8, 10, 12 at a time. I don't know how that's gonna work either. So those are, I guess, just 4 items I'm bringing up to everybody to think about. And you know, it's not gonna be, it's an uphill battle to rezone. And I did have a meeting with Mary Healy and Tom Goodman about a week, 10 days ago, and we talked about this situation. And I can tell you, I think the beach club is getting a handle on things under the direction of Tom Goodwin, and I think they've hired an enforcement person. They do have rules now that say in 5 years you have to build. If that's from 1/1 of 23 on. Before that, I guess they have 15 years, so I don't know if it's 15 years, but by 2037 they're gonna have to build there. So the judge did say this is a housing development, and they do want homes there. So, but you know, the other side of the coin is maybe you give the other people time to build. And a lot of things happen with COVID and supply chain issues. I'm just throwing this out. Maybe we should let the beach club handle this for the time being. Let them keep doing what they're doing, you know, and keep the county and the town out of it. But that's my personal opinion. That's not the county's opinion. Just so you know. That's all I've got to say.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm not very mechanically.
You're not very strong.
Really, that is?
It feels cool.
Oh, we had to,
Get stuck on there.
there you go, just,
There we go. Popped up.
yeah, we had to turn the volume up. But thank you very much. Oh, there we go.
Oh, there it
Okay. Other public input from anyone? If you have public input, come on up, state your name, use the microphone. Last call, public input. Oh, Gladys, go ahead.
Oh, okay. She has her own microphone. My name is Gladys Rue, and I, for one, I don't want, and I talked to Roger, and neither one of us want our taxes wasted on rezoning the town of Cedar Lake. That's it. Succinct.
I'm in agreement as a personal individual taxpayer. I'm not in agreement. I think we need to do something today in order to prevent in the future our economic development.
Okay, I need to recognize people to have the floor. So Gladys, have the floor. Gladys, are you finished?
I'm finished.
Okay, who else has a comment? Mary Helen, you got a comment?
I am also against spending our tax dollars for that when we have so many other things in our township that are very much in need of the tax dollars that we can and are able to raise. Because we have only a limited amount of money that we can raise.
Okay, Hank, is that it? Any other comments? Kathy, you had some?
Yeah, I would say I am in for it because I think we need to look at the future and not just today. And we need to save our economic development, and we get tax dollars, that's how we survive. So I'm for it.
Any other public input? Doug, again, let's use the mic. We got a lot of people here. Ray will adjust the volume as needed, but you may have to get pretty close to that mic.
Thanks, Louis, for speaking for the county. 7 years ago, when I was on the board for the Loch Lomond Beach Club, I went to many county zoning meetings. Every time I talked to the zoning committee, I said, even to Dave Gifford, why are you selling permits to camp in Loch Lomond Beach Club area when the homeowners association covenants restrictions positively restricted camping. While it was allowed for the leaves on, leaves off policy, which was rescinded, and I never got an answer. In fact, the answer was from John Slade. Doug Fisher, we don't care about the Loch Lomond Beach Club. That was his exact words, Louis. And so I kept coming and kept telling Dave Gifford, you can't give in these permits because they give the people the sense that they can camp here, when by the covenants and restrictions they can't. And so if you have an issue regarding campers, you gotta look at the county. They're the ones that gave you a permit to camp there when you shouldn't have gotten one. Quite frankly, you shouldn't have gotten one. And the realtors that sold you the property, they know what the covenants restrictions were. The judge said what the covenants restrictions were. And the beach club is trying its best, I agree, Louis, but there is a division now that's opted out of the covenants and restrictions. Another division will probably follow. I don't know whether he's successful or not. Bottom line is, the future of that side of the lake, which there's a lot of lots, there's too many lots. It's a problem with the beginning, where it was developed into too many lots. But anyways, the problem with that is we will not generate enough tax revenue to cover this, what you're talking about, the services provided by this township. And so if you guys are mad about homeowners, it's not the homeowners, we're paying. And the lake people, you ought to be happy about the lake people because we're paying the biggest part of the tax bill for this township. So don't be mad at us. We moved here with the understanding that it was a residential area, open to campers, that they follow a policy, but they didn't. So that's all I have to say. And I'm sorry that all of this has happened, but I've been at the brunt of a lot of it. But my bottom line is the board of directors should have followed the covenants restrictions from day one, and they didn't. Thank you.
Doug, turn it off.
You got further public input from anyone?
Louis, thank you for speaking. When does Barron County do their job? They just collect taxes from the homeowners, but this is an issue to be resolved on the other side of the lake, whether it's zoning or whether it's the beach club, but it has to be resolved. I don't see a future for the township if you live in the past. You can't live in the past. And business people sitting here today know damn well that's the truth. You have to be progressive in your ideas and your views if you're gonna move forward.
Any further public input? So, yeah, okay, we got.
Hi, my name is Diane Thompson, and my husband is Randy Thompson, and we just built a brand new house. We lived in Madison, which is 5 hours away from up here, and our house started being built in September. We moved in May. So if somebody says there's no material out there and we're still going through COVID problems, they're wrong. You're just going through the wrong place to get your material. One, you need to research who is building your house, and two, you need to research where you're getting your material from. And we had no problem. And we didn't live up here. We lived far away. Thank you.
Any other public input?
Hi, my name is Paula Schulte, and our family bought our property not from a realtor. We bought it from Terracor, or the people who owned the business. And we were told it's a recreational, or you can have a cabin. We weren't told we had to build in 5 years. We were showed a lot where the guy says, this is great for camping. Our lot was the dump for all the trees when they built the roads there. So it was all nice and flat. And he told us specifically, it's camping. The only thing we couldn't have was a mobile home, like a trailer home. And that was the only thing. And they, for 50 years, we've been camping. For 50 years, we were told we can camp. And our third generation is camping now. So we have no plans to get rid of it. And my question to the homeowners, after you get rid of the campers, or your attempt to get rid of the campers, are you going to go after the small cabin owners too? Because those aren't really homes.
That's so sad.
It's not sad.
Let's be respectful to the folks that are speaking. Any other public input? Okay, next item of business, financial reports. Pull it up.
Okay, and all three, oops, I better use this.
Next item of business, HC, status update on petition to rezone. There is a company that is drafting a proposal which would identify a dollar amount that they would charge the town to prepare the petition for rezoning. Once I get that, I will present it to the board as an actual item. We'll decide what we're going to do. For details, what we're looking at is not jumping in for 1,000 parcels. We're gonna, for lack of a better term, test the water. So what that means is that we're going to, should we decide to do this, okay, stand by to find it again. When you look at the area that we're talking about, and this municipality has the ability to rezone, petition to rezone, anywhere within a 36 square mile area. The area that is in question right now, it deals with multiple sections. These are the sections. A section is 640 acres. It is 1 square mile. You're looking at portions of sections 23, sections of 23, sections of 14, sections of 11, parcels of 2, parcels of 3. The bid that this engineering firm is putting together will consist of Stout Point. The way they are writing it is that these parcels here that are along the water, they meet the definition of Barron County's land use ordinance, which states recreational residential will be along navigable waters. Makes sense. These parcels in the center here, I think there's about 8 of them, along with 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 more, maybe a dozen here. They are not along the water. So they, by definition, meet Barron County land use ordinance description of R1, residential, low density. That's just one section. So we're going to see what the proposal looks like. Once they send it to us, then we'll have a meeting on it, and we'll talk. And then what I would recommend we do, if we decide as a board to do this, it's not my call, it's a majority vote here, we run it through, A to Z, and we find out what we're going to decide. Let's assume we push it forward. Then we're going to learn whether or not the county is going to support us in our economic development, long-term sustainable, or not. And whatever the result is, we'll share that with you, and that's where we're going to be. Lori, Mary, any questions on this? Okay, once I get that information, the proposal, I'll share it with you. And we'll take it from there.
I'm looking right at the moment, do we know are any of those parcels currently being used for camping?
I believe the answer is no. When I've driven through there, I have not seen any,
There's two.
out here on the peninsula.
Yeah.
In the,
In that circle?
In the circle, in the
Where
center?
it starts, Island Park, it's about 3 and the one is on the water, I think they're both on the water.
Yeah, I know the ones on the water, that's why I asked about the ones inside. The reason I ask is because this seems, what's the word I want to use here? Based on what Louis was talking about before, without having anybody to fight it, meaning if nobody in there is using it for camping, obviously there isn't going to be anybody that's going to come and try to fight it. So are we using this as a way to kind of set a precedence of, well, we got it through here, so now why can't we go through here? Does that make sense? Seems kind of like we selectively picked those lots.
If we get to the point of holding a hearing, we will present that information. And I would likely say absolutely what you just said. I would say this is the beta test, or this is the initial request to find out whether or not we're going to get support from the county. Because if the county does support us, then there's 4 more areas coming in. It would also depend on money. This might be a multi-year project, depending on the cost. These are unknowns right now. It's not, but it's not deceptive. It's not sneaky. It's
Correct.
no. The intent, yeah.
That's what I'm implying, yes.
Well, the intent was to do an area that is I wouldn't say affordable, but less expensive. I had requests from every other division, hey, do me first. Because I don't hear much, so the homeowners are just as vocal, but they do it in a different manner. They communicate, and they share their concerns, and then one of the things they commented on is nobody talks about my needs. I hear all about the campers. What are the campers thinking? What are we doing with the campers? Et cetera, et cetera. And this is not black and white. You got some homeowners that they're sympathetic, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, we've had multiple requests for folks to do them first. And I said, okay, it's a money thing. So we would do the small, it's the smallest section.
I understand that, but we're also picking the area with the least amount of fight. And so I guess if you want to get a realistic idea of whether it's going to go through, there should be at least one parcel that has a camper on there, shouldn't there? Because this goes back to the whole idea that Louis was talking about. I don't want to use the word grandfathering, but there's not a parcel on there that would even fall under that grandfathering clause.
Okay.
So that's, I guess.
Here's what I would recommend then that we discuss. Once we get a bid, and I can call the guy tomorrow, tell him, include another area. So we can choose an area that, let's look at 23, for example, right here. We could get a bid from them on that. When you get to methyl right here, for all intents and purposes, if I understand correctly, well, it doesn't matter, these are on the water. The Loch Lomond area where we're having all of our challenges stops right here. So, Corey, if you want, I will gladly, no, add it.
Well, I guess it all depends on cost, because I'm not committing to spending any money on doing this right now. Because there was also another email I saw come through, a letter from Dave Gifford at zoning about the town being on the hook for any financial obligations on this. So I'm getting conflicting stories from who's gonna pay, that letter.
The thing that Dave has not answered yet, and you know Dave's position, he doesn't want to do this.
Yep.
True.
And I won't go into why. He is an employee, and he prepares information, he holds an administrative position. He does not vote on this. he's influential, fine. But what he has stated right here, which I will challenge him on when the time comes, is what he stated as determined. He mentioned that the zoning committee determined. What does that mean? That means you got the authority to overrule the 29 county supervisors that vote to decide whether or not there's any sort of change to the Barron County land use ordinance. He's trying to bluff us. He's trying to snow me.
I would have rather he said the committee decided. I would have rather, if that's what it was, rather than determined.
But they still don't have the
That sounds like a
authority.
conversation rather than, so he's saying they made a decision, but it's not voted on.
It's kind of a recommendation, but he doesn't want you to, he doesn't want to say recommendation.
Because when I read it, I thought, that seems so wishy-washy, it seems vague. I mean, I
First-
thought that too, I saw that too, and I'm like, what? So they determined, but are you saying yes or no to what this is? I mean, I know he's not a big fan of the whole situation, but I don't know that what he's saying in that letter is, we took a vote and this is what they said. So stop, desist, don't go any further.
First, he said the zoning committee concurred that such and such. Let me back up. First, he said you gotta pay for everything.
Yep.
And they challenged him on it when I showed him the land use ordinance. He said, oh, okay. Then he said, well, we just concurred that you gotta do this. I said, what do you mean concur?
They agree.
It has to be, I can concur myself, the three of us can concur that they should pay it all, and they should do it all tomorrow. And that carries no water, just like theirs carries no water. So, they went from, you gotta do it all, oh yeah, you're right, you don't, to, we concur that it should be this, to, we determined it should be this. In other words, I would challenge him on it. And I respect Louis and what he does and so forth. But this is my point. We've got to have the decision makers who are elected to make decisions do so. I can't sit there and look at my constituents and say, oh, this is too hard, this is too expensive, this is too difficult. I'm just not gonna do it. If that's the case, then I shouldn't be in this position.
I think Louis was pretty clear about the fact that this was his personal opinion too. because
He was, because he
talked about
knows,
that
yeah.
when we met for an hour and a half. He was very clear about the fact that he wasn't giving chapter and verse about anything that would be adjudicated. It was his opinion,
That's true.
his personal opinions. And he has a right to that. He wasn't talking at that moment as the head of the supervisors. He was.
Correct, I agree. Okay, so what I'm hearing is, you don't think this would be a good random sample, Corey? Which makes sense.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll kind of look at the numbers, and just visually, it looks like 23 might be worth, you can tell right now, section 14 is pretty dense. Section 11 is probably, I don't know, maybe section 2 is the highest, I don't know. I'll look at those and ask them to give us a bid one more out.
Would that make you go down?
Yeah. Again, it all depends on what they're gonna come in with a proposal. I don't know if they're gonna do it on a per parcel.
I've asked them to do it through per parcel.
Okay.
That way we can do the math.
So then it shouldn't matter which section it is, if they give you an idea of what it's gonna cost per parcel.
But if we run it through the county, we start to invest.
Gotcha.
And if it's $100, $15 a certified letter, it's $1,500.
I think you also have to listen to what Ken just said about, or I'm listening to it, I'm not telling you what to do, but it's like a long-range project to me, because it's broken into so many pieces that it'll depend on, first of all, do we want to do it, and second of all, then when and if we decide to do it, then at what speed do we do it? We just need a formula before we can make that decision, as far as, I think, is that what you're saying, Ken? I'm not putting words in your mouth.
I did ask him for a per parcel bid, and that makes sense, because you can, if we decide to do it, we can determine how far in advance we proceed. And to them, it's not gonna matter, they have to do the same thing. They gotta do a visual, they gotta identify real property, because it has to do with non-conforming rules. Can't quote the rules. So to them, it's a per parcel cost, period. And then they would send us the petition, we would sign the cover letter, and we would send it in. That's how I understand it right now. Other questions, comments?
I guess at this point, we have to wait and see what they come up with.
And the gentleman that I spoke with, he has his draft proposal ready, but he needed to run it by his supervisor, and she wasn't going to be in until today. So he might have it tomorrow. Once he has it, we'll have a special meeting where we'll coincide with the upcoming, the regularly scheduled meeting. Obviously, we need to do this. Needs to be noticed, and we need to document it. Any other questions, comments?
No, I'm just thinking ahead. And it's not really specific to this, but what all are the meetings we're having in November? Because that's usually the meeting I miss.
Oh, that's right. They're all,
One meeting a year I miss is
I
November.
forgot about that. They're all budget related.
That's what I
Mayor-
thought, which
Mayor-
hasn't been a problem in the past, so.
The 13th of November.
I don't think you missed November.
Yeah, he does.
That's your,
Yeah, he goes
I know.
off kills.
Try. I sleep in the woods.
you rest?
That's, I go out of
You
state.
rest?
Yeah. So,
So what do we do on the 13th?
Well, I guess-
There's like 95 meetings that day, but.
He's just absent.
right,
But
but that's why I,
Well, yeah, right.
no, that's why I'm curious about this proposal and stuff,
Waiting until December when you're back is what you're asking?
right?
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah.
I think that's reasonable, because we have to have a quorum. In the absence of one of the three of us, then the clerk votes. And, but I think it's reasonable that you get a break, you get vacation, and what's another month? That would be my thought on that.
If you want to.
Can't vote remote.
If you can, I call it.
And there was never any intent to say, hey, let's wait till Corey goes on vacation to do this. Didn't think like that.
All right, well, I'll see the proposed agenda, and I'll let you guys know if there's conflicts. Haven't set the date, we usually leave on Saturday, I think, before.
The meeting's on the 13th, right?
I'll let y'all know.
It's on the 13th, yes. Mary asked the meetings, I'm gonna try to go with memory here. Mary Helen could probably help me. I know we have to adopt a resolution. Back up. First, we do the regular meeting, just your regular, kind of like this meeting.
And it starts at 6 o'clock.
Well, well, I'll answer that later. But there are 4 meetings. One of them takes about a minute.
Oh.
The other one, we go through this budget presentation. That's one of the other meetings.
Yep.
And here, I can tell you what it is. It may not be the right sequence. Number 1, your regular meeting. We knock that out. Number 2, second meeting is we present the budget to the electors. Number 3, the electors vote on that, yes or no. And then what was number 4? The resolution.
The town board then makes the resolution.
That's right.
To accept
Yeah.
what they have
Yeah.
said.
So those 4 meetings sound really ugly, but a lot of times you can knock it out in an hour,
We
hour
also
and a half.
have another meeting because of the levy limit. We have to set a date for another meeting between now and that meeting in order to do the budget levy.
That's good.
limit.
We're gonna talk about that shortly, right? The 25th.
So we've got
Yeah,
quite a
okay.
few steps in this process.
Okay. So no, we won't be, if we decide to hold this off, we can do that. We're not, okay, gotcha. Okay. Next item of business. Number 9,